What's going on, everyone in YouTube? Well, this is the Cockney Biker. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. In this video, I've decided I'll just sort of go over a couple of things about Cherry here, my BMW K1600. Now, as everyone knows, I absolutely love this bike. I absolutely adore it. It's fast, it's powerful, it's comfortable, it's a tourer. It's got so many mod cons and buttons and switches and gears and gauges and stuff that, you know, she's a practical space shuttle as far as I'm concerned. But there are still a few little niggity-naggity things that do sort of irritate me about this bike. So without any further ado, cue the intro. Now, I love the lights on this bike. They're fantastic. You've got some like fog lights, which are really nice and bright. You've got this adaptive headlight in the front, which is really bright and awesome, and can be well seen from any angle. I love it. But whenever I have to do a flash or I have to put on the high beams, it's these dismal halogen light bulbs that are illuminating. And to be honest, you see this beautiful white LED setup and these two little yellow, well, I've seen brighter flipping torch lights. Now, obviously, Cockney, you all say, why don't you go out and get yourself some LEDs for it? And I'd like to, but I don't know. You see, a lot of people are saying that the LEDs for the BMW K1600, or that would fit in BMW K1600, are of a special sort of design, like an L shape or something weird that like means that you have to do a lot of fidgeting to get them in there, and I don't want to screw things up. So I'm going very slowly and I'm taking the modification under advisement. Now, if any of you other K1600 owners have managed to put LED bulbs into your bike, and you know, please in the comments below let me know what you bought and how you did it, and if there's anything special that you need to do. I'm not going to take it down to a dealership to pay $200 just for like them to stick in a couple of $60 light bulbs. Not going to happen. In comparison to Dawn's Limited, the speakers on her bike are fantastic. I mean, she can blast the sounds at like any volume, no matter how fast she's going. The speakers on this, not so much. I mean, they're adequate if you're in town or doing less than 60 miles an hour, but anything other than that, then it's just, you're better off just like having it transferred to your headset and listening to sounds on that. Another thing that kind of gets on my nerves about this bike, now the instrument cluster and a little TFT screen there are fantastic, for the most part. Except if you're listening to music or anything, you don't see the digital speedo. You have to rely on the analog one, which, and I'll be honest, is difficult to read. I had such a hard time sort of getting to grips with what sort of speed I'm doing and where the needle should be when I'm meant to be doing 30 or 40 or 50 or something. It's a bit of a pain to read it. And so the digital reader is really great, but you've got to have your sound system off. Yeah, you can also rely on the Garmin. It's a Garmin 5 and all that. There's a little speedo on there, which is like a GPS speedo, which is probably more accurate than the speedo on the K1600, because for some reason it's about, depending on how fast you're going, it can be up to like about 5 miles an hour off. You know, you're doing what you think is 60, but really it's 55 or thereabouts. They say they do that on purpose because manufacturers get mega fines in Europe and places like that if people are caught speeding and they can prove that it was actually the speedo that was in error. So then they turn their attention to the manufacturers. So they deliberately kind of give them a percentage of difference, you know, between like what speed you're going and what speed it's telling you. Yeah, so you've got like engine information and everything to do with like the bike, the speed that you're going on, the maximum speed you've been at, the highway moving, your regular times, and all your little fun odds and ends. I mean, like what stopped moving time, total time, overall average. I mean, you can strip, you got your trip A and your trip B, and your speedo at the very top, and it tells me that I've got about 83 miles left before I run out of gas. All right, well, fair enough. That's a little bit of useful information, but on the other versions, or at least on other bikes, you can actually isolate just the speedo and not anything else, so that you've got a rolling speedometer or an engine temperature gauge or something that you can isolate and have it displayed full on the screen. This one, you can't do that. Because otherwise, the speedo that you've got there is like, you know, little teeny tiny display in the bottom right corner of the screen. Also, controlling the Garmin, you got to use the wheel for it, which is great. But have you noticed that if you ride anything other, like, you know, the adventure bikes or any of the other sort of top of the line BMWs, you know, the moment you start twisting the wheel and start manipulating it, it does everything it needs to do with the Garmin. With this, because you've got to go through a menu system, you can't control it until you actually select the page, select what you want to do with it, and then start fiddling about on there. So it's a bit fidgety. Now, if you download the Smart Link onto your phone, you can actually transfer what you're looking for on your Google Maps to the Smart Link and then send it directly to your Garmin. And I do like that feature. That's pretty good. It's one of those pieces of kit where, you know, there's so many features, so many things you can do, like waypoints, base camps. You can up and download data. It warns you of up and coming traffic issues and problems. It beeps it. It's got a lovely little lady's voice telling you which way to turn and everything. And thing is, though, it's a huge learning curve, and to be honest with you, I don't really use it that much. I will use it when I go on a long trip. It will be there, but I can't see myself like relying on it every day if I need to go to the shops or go to someone's house here or there. You know, it'd be easy just to stick it in Google Maps. So enough said about that. Right, another thing that's a bit of an irritation on this bike is that everything is so clustered on your handlebars that you don't have the ability to put any like phone or GPS holder like traditional ones that just sort of clamp around handlebars. There's no way to do it unless you have to buy specific little knobs and balls and things like that, and ram mounts that plug into the side of the bars here that you have to put a screw into, or in the base. Now, it looks great like that, don't get me wrong, it does look fantastic. But when I was originally looking for options, I felt like I wasn't given much of a choice. There are only two ways you can go. Using the screw holes on either side of the handlebar parts here, or like something that screws into the middle. I would say the fork mount, but it's not. It's one of those wishbone things, which is really great because that means that I can slam on the front brakes and the bike's not going to dive. And trust me, if it didn't have that, this bike would have been on its side a long time ago. The power outlet on this bike, now I've got two of them. I've got one here just on my right side on the fairing, and I've got one just by the battery, which is like useful. But the thing is, they're those little BMW tiny outlets which you've got to buy specifically an adapter for. It would have been nice if, especially like the US version, if they came with the normal standard power outlet that, you know, you get on most other bikes. Now, another thing about this bike is that you'd think that, like, with such a top-of-the-line luxury liner such as the BMW K1600, you'd think it'd have like some sort of auto shut-off on the indicators, like with, you know, Harley's and Dawn's bike, you know, the Chieftain Limited and various other makes and models. No, you have to remember to click it off once you've used it. Or if it does work, it doesn't work very well. Nope, still blinking. I don't know if that's some sort of option that was been turned off by the previous owner. I couldn't find anything when I looked it up, but who knows. Yeah, I'm just sticking $12 in you. Most other people who ride who ride Harleys or Dawn's Indian or something like that, now you've got like a Bluetooth setup that you can have onto your stereo so that you can listen to you know, Pandora or YouTube or SoundCloud or something like that. With this bike, you can't do that. You cannot connect a Bluetooth to your system and have anything come through on the sounds. Now, the Bluetooth connection on my sound system is for one thing and one thing only, and that's for a Sena headset. I don't even have a Sena headset. I've got like a BT Bluetoothy thingamajiggy. It's not even compatible. And I think that's a little bit, you know, shot under the mark there with BMWs. But it's really strange because the sat nav has like a Bluetooth connection as well, and it can send any tracks that it's got stored onto a micro SD card in the GPS to your headset, but it won't send it to your speakers. So if you want to listen to any sounds that you've collected, then what you have to do is you have to get all your sounds, MP3s and everything that you want to play, and then put it onto a USB, and then plug the USB into the little cubby hole USB connector that's directly to the sound system. I mean, not that it's going to do you any good like if you're riding over 60 miles an hour, but you know, it would have been a nice option to have had. But then again, having said that, this is the first bike I've ever had where it's had speakers that actually came as part of the bike. So I shouldn't really be complaining. If you do your own maintenance on the BMW K1600, that's not a problem. You can do that. You can change your oil filter, you can change your oil, your fluids, you can change your air filter. You can do all of that. No big deal. But every few thousand miles, you get a service light warning coming up on your screen. And the only way that you can wipe that off, and that's by plugging in one of the those computer gadgety things to the computer on the module on the bike. And clear out the warning signs from there. The same with service signs, battery signs, or any emergencies on there. To clear them out, you need to plug in an adapter to the computer so it can read the codes and then wipe the codes. Now with a car, you know, if you want to clear out like the service now warning sign, then you turn ignition on and off a couple of times, you stamp on the throttle and a couple of times, or do whatever you need to do. You do your process. It's like one of those PlayStation controllers, like it's cheat codes. You know, stamp, press, click, click, on, off, and it's cleared. You can't do that with these bikes. Now, if you want to do it like through the dealer, they'll charge you about $50 to $100 to do that for you. Whereas if you want to get the little controller yourself, you get like one of those enthusiasts computer controllers. They cost about $400. You can only fit like 10. You can only fit 10 like identification VIN numbers onto those machines, and they're done. That is it. Once you've got the 10 on there, it will not clear them out and put another 10 on. It's supposed to be for enthusiasts only. But it's a bit irritating that the dealerships will charge you like $50 to $75 to $100 just to like plug a computer module into your bike, click, wipe, and it's done. Like a 10-second job, they're going to charge you out the nose for it. That sounds pitiful. I thought this bike was supposed to have had the most awesome horn going. You know, the twin horns. I mean, Shaylin's horn sounds more flipping macho than this one. But like I said, that's just a very, very small list against an enormous, massive list of all the things that I love about this bike. And I wouldn't trade it in. Not for a few years. Well, actually not until I've got another 30 grand to buy another one, because the next one I ever get is going to be brand new, and it's going to have everything. It's going to have the gear shift assist pro, whatever it's called. It's going to have the reverse gear. It's going to have, like, I don't know, I fancy that little SOS button on there. I think that's quite handy. Pay a couple of $100 and it's for a lifetime of SOS. It's coming up to winter now, so a lot of you are putting your bikes up now for the winter. You're sticking them in your garage, you're wrapping your little blankets around them, and you're putting on the old fuel preserver in the tanks, and you're kind of getting ready for the snow and all that. Down here, yeah, we get a couple of bad days, but for the most part, you can ride in all year round on this bike. So I'll be chucking out videos for all of yous. Well, anyway, that's all I pretty much got to say about my mostly dislikes about this bike, as well as the things, like I said, I love about this bike. And at the end of the day, at the end of this thesis, my Cockney crew, I absolutely love this bike, and it's got personality, and I can live with those little niggity-naggity problems, and I can just assume that, like, you know, BMW are hard at work fixing those little issues on their future designs. And like I said, in time, if I ever get myself another bike, it's definitely going to be something either this or like this, regardless of whether they fix the issues or not. Well everyone, all you Cockney crew, thank you so much for watching this video. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're not a subscriber already. Share this video if you'd like. Take care of yourselves, ride safe, and laters.